Hi, what's going on, family? This is Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. I want to take a look at one of the two Belois brothers. This is Mike Belois. He was a champion. Let's take a look at his career. Now, Mike Belois claimed the World Featherweight Championship. Born February 18, 1911 in New York City, nationality Italian-American. He weighed 126 pounds and was managed by George Hughes and Eddie Walker. And like I said, Mike Belois had a brother by the name of Steve Belois. Here you have Steve Belois. This is Mike Belois' brother. He was also a very good fighter. Now, Mike Belois, Italian-American, 24-year-old, 5 foot 5 inches. He weighed 126 pounds, which means he was a featherweight. He resided in New York City. He weighed 96 pounds when he started boxing as an amateur. He won 10 titles as an amateur ranks. Began professional boxing in 1932 with knockouts over Jimmy Hughes and Sergio Dadney. His record includes victories over Danny London, Al Roth, Pete DeGrassi, very good fighter, Milton Sloves, Joe Regis, Lou Feldman, and P.D. Hayes, all very good fighters. He lost decisions to Baby Arizmenzi, then knocked out Dave Crawley in 7 rounds. Lost to Henry Armstrong and Tudor bout in California, but KO'd Frankie Castillo and Sonny Valdez in the 5th round. And next 2 bouts. Is recognized as world champion by New York Commission. Now, hopefully, with this record of Mike Belois, I'm going to get some clarification on that P.D. Scalzo situation. And I'm trying to figure this out, but I'm still having trouble. So let's go through his record. Like I said, he was born February 18, 1911. He began his professional career in 1932. He has knockouts over Jimmy Hughes. In the 3rd round, Sergio Dadney. In the 2nd round, he won against Eddie Vocchio. In the 4th round, Danny London in the 4th round. You can see here he fought Harry Oberman in the 6th round. Abe Levine in the 5th round. 1933, January 2nd, P.D. Hayes, very good fighter, New York City, defeated him in 8 rounds. February 21st, Benny Brofov, New York City, defeated him in 5 rounds. March 31st, Alan Headley, New York City, 4-round draw. May 8th, Lou Farber, New York City, 6-round draw. May 19th, Joe Regis, New York City, he defeated him in 4 rounds. July 5th, Mickey Brown, New York City, defeated him in 6 rounds. July 24th, Al Gillette, New York City, defeated him in 6 rounds. And this would continue. November 24th, he would face Pete DeGrassi, very good fighter, New York City, defeated him in 6 rounds. Pete DeGrassi fought a lot of good fighters, Henry Armstrong among others. 1934, January 8th, Mickey Barron, New York City, defeated him in 6 rounds. On January 12th, Lou Feldman, New York City, another good fighter. He would lose to him in 6 rounds. January 24th, Al Roth, New York City, and he would defeat him in 6 rounds. February 9th, Benny Britt, New York City. He would defeat him in 6 rounds. February 13th, Pete DeGrassi, New York City. He would defeat him in 10 rounds. He would face Pete DeGrassi again on March 10th, 1934, New York City, and this time he would defeat him in 8 rounds. He would fight P.D. Hayes twice. April 2nd and May 11th. New York City, he would get a 10-round draw, and he would defeat him in 10 rounds. Lou Feldman, New York City, defeat him in 10 rounds on June 28th. August 30th, Baby Arizmenzi, New York City, he'll lose to him in 15 rounds for the New York State Recognition Featherweight title. Roger Bernard, New York City, he would defeat him in 10 rounds November 19th. 1935, January 14th, Jose Santos, New York City, loses to him in 8 rounds. Let's go back to this for a second. Look at this. Let's look at this year, 1934. Look at the fighters he fought within that year. Fascinating. He was knocked out by Kyle Joe Rivers in Washington on July 11th, 1935. He was knocked out in 8 rounds. He lost to Jimmy Chrissy in Chicago, Illinois in 10 rounds on July 1st. And he lost to Jose Santos on January 14th. He lost 8 rounds in 1935. (1936) April 3rd, Everett Reitmeyer, Chicago, Illinois. He would knock him out in 14 rounds for the New York State Athletic Commission named Belois World Featherweight Champion. Okay, so the New York State Athletic Commission named Belois, talking about Mike Belois here, World Featherweight Champion. I don't know how the state can do that, but they did. Dave Qualley, title bout. 1936, October 27th, he would face Henry Armstrong in Los Angeles and lose 10 rounds. Henry Armstrong was a dynamic fighter. Fascinating. I have him ranked number 4 in all times. Sonny Valdez. 1937, January 21st, he would face Johnny Cabello, New York City, defeat him in 10 rounds. February 22nd, Jackie Wilson. Jackie Wilson was a phenomenal fighter, African-American fighter, Pittsburgh. I'm going to be covering him next week as well. Sometime probably Friday or next week, I'm going to be doing African-American fighters, and he will be included in that conversation. He lost to him in 10 rounds. March 12th, he would face Henry Armstrong, New York City, and he would be knocked out by Henry Armstrong in 4 rounds. So April 20th, he would face Maxie Fisher in Brooklyn, New York, and defeat him in 10 rounds. April 27th, Freddie Foran, Jersey City, New Jersey. He would knock him out in 3 rounds. May 10th, Johnny Carbello, New York City. He would knock him out in 6 rounds. So he was going back to a nice schedule here. June 8th, Charlie Gomez, Long Island. He would defeat him in 8 rounds. 1938, February 14th, Frankie Terranova, New York City. He would defeat him in 8 rounds. March 1st, Al Reed, New York City. It would be an 8-round draw. March 14th, Julio Gonzalez, New York City. He would defeat him in 8 rounds. April 5th, Al Reed in New York City. 8-round draw. Now here's the issue I had in the last video. April 26th, Pete Scalzo, New York City, would defeat him in 8 rounds. He would defeat him. Okay, you know what? That might be the problem. Because see, the problem I was having, Phil Terranova, that same year, was knocked out in 2 rounds by Pete Scalzo. But I'm seeing here that Mike Belois defeated Pete Scalzo in 8 rounds. So maybe that's the reason why they gave Phil Terranova the opportunity to face I'm trying to figure this out. Anton Riddick. Because Pete Scalzo lost in 8 rounds to Mike Belois. It's the only thing I can think of. September 16th, Spider Armstrong, Baltimore, Maryland. He defeated him in 10 rounds. 1941, February 17th, Everett Reitmeyer, Baltimore, defeated him in 10 rounds. March 18th, Bobby Ruffin, New York City, lost him in 8 rounds. Let me show you Bobby Ruffin. Now this is Bobby Ruffin. Real rugged fighter. He fought Mike Belois, and he was defeated by Mike Belois, but he was a very good fighter. I'll do a profile on him as well. So June 20th, he would face Al Reed, New York City, defeat him in 8 rounds. Paul Lee, New York City, defeat him in 8 rounds. That's May 16th. August 9th, Paul Lee, New York City, defeated him in 8 rounds. September 19th, Joey Watch, New York City, he would knock him out in 3 rounds. October 17th, Joey Archibald, New York City, would lose him in 15 rounds and lose the New York Recognition of Featherweight title. 1939, he would face Georgie Hansford in Hollywood. He would defeat him in 10 rounds on January 20th. Al Citrino, Oakland, California, 10-round draw, January 25th. Nick Peters, February 17th, Hollywood, California. He would be stopped in 4 rounds on 1939. April 21st, Angus Smith, San Diego, California. He would knock him out in 7 rounds. Georgie Hansford, Los Angeles, California. He would defeat him in 10 rounds on May 2nd. May 26th, Tony Chavez, good Hollywood fighter in Hollywood, California. He was a very good fighter at the Olympic Auditorium over there. He was stopped in 7 rounds. August 17th, Paul Lee, Baltimore, Maryland. He would defeat him in 10 rounds. August 28th, Lou Feldman, Baltimore, Maryland. He would lose to him in 7 rounds. September 19th, Al Reed, New York City, would defeat him in 8 rounds. October 31st, Jimmy Vaughn, New York City, defeat him in 8 rounds. November 21st, he would be stopped by Lou Jenkins, New York City. Lou Jenkins would later on take the title away from Lou Amber's lightweight title. 1940, he would fight Bernie Friedkins in Brooklyn. He would fight him twice, and both times he would get an 8-round draw. He would fight him on January 16th and January 30th. Young Reitmeyer, March 25th, Providence, Rhode Island. He would defeat him in 10 rounds. Texas Lee Harper, Brooklyn. He would defeat him in 8 rounds. That's May 11th. June 3rd, P.D. Scalzo, New York City. He would lose in 8 rounds. September 16th, Spider Armstrong, Baltimore. He would defeat him in 10 rounds. Now we're back to where we were. 1941, February 17th, Evan Reitmeyer, Baltimore. Defeat him in 10 rounds. March 18th, Bobby Ruffin, New York City. He lost him in 8 rounds. I just showed you Bobby Ruffin. And he would continue. He would lose again to Bobby Ruffin. July 30th, New York City. He would lose to him in 8 rounds. 1942, March 3rd, Chester Rico, New York City. He would be stopped in 7 rounds. After the fight, Belois announced retirement from the ring. Let me show you Chester Rico. Good fighter. All right, here you have Chester Rico. Very good fighter. He fought Mike Belois. And Mike Belois was knocked out by Chester Rico in 7 rounds. And he retired after that fight. But for a short time, because he made a comeback on October 6, 1942, and faced Johnny Fontaine, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He defeated him in 8 rounds. November 9th, Ruby Garcia, another good fighter, Providence, Rhode Island. He would defeat him in 10 rounds. Faced Ruby Garcia again in Providence, defeat him in 10 rounds. 1943, January 25th, Johnny Hutchison, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He would be stopped in 2 rounds. Charlie Williams, Philadelphia. He would defeat him in 8 rounds. Angelo Calabria, Brooklyn. He would lose to him in 8 rounds. Gus Levine, Brooklyn. He would knock him out in 5 rounds. That was June 22nd. 1944, March 13th, Al Brown. He would lose to him in 10 rounds. Freddie Russo, Elizabeth, New Jersey, lose to him in 8 rounds. He fought Al Brown March 13th and fought Freddie Buzo in March 17th. November 4th, he would face Henry Armstrong and be stopped in 4 rounds. Ray Salis, Oakland, California, and he would be stopped in 8 rounds. November 29th. So right now he's just fighting for the money. 1945, January 31st, Juan Zurita, very good fighter, Houston. He would be knocked out in 4 rounds. All right, so that's basically Mike Belois's record. So it looks like I'm not 100% clear on what happened with that P.D. Scalzo situation, but it looks like he defeated P.D. Scalzo before P.D. Scalzo fought Phil Terranova. And since he defeated P.D. Scalzo, I assume that's the reason why Phil Terranova got an opportunity to face Leo Reddick for the World Championship featherweight division. So I'm just going to leave it like that for now. Once again, it's Scrapbook Boxing Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. I want to salute and enter Mike Belois and the Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Salute to my subscribers. Salute to Mike Belois. This is brother Steve Belois. Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. One love.